Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is the 10 worst movies of 2016. 2016 was like a great divide in film. I think there were some amazing and a lot of amazing films that came out this year. I'll be recording and posting my best of 2016 the first weekend of January, so be looking out for that. But then there was a ton of disappointing films and quite a few just bad movies. So this is my personal list of the 10 most egregious films that were released into theaters this past year. Let's kick it off with number 10. Me Before You, from a filmmaking standpoint, actually wouldn't make this list. I think it actually is a well-constructed film. It's shot really nicely, and our two leads actually had nice chemistry. So how did Me Before You crack my top 10 worst of the year? Simple. The message it sends is just inexcusable and completely irresponsible to release to the mainstream public. The fact that this film thought it was appropriate to romanticize assisted suicide when you don't have a fatal illness and you can live a perfectly fine life when you are rich, when you are handsome, when you have a beautiful woman interested in you, you have all of the money to get all of the aid you need at your disposal. But instead, since you're disabled, your life is not worth living. And then to have the gall and the audacity to put that tagline, "Live Boldly," on there, I found it to be pretty disgusting, actually. Sent the message that people with disabilities aren't living boldly every single day, and instead of creating a great message about living boldly with a disability, whether that be physical, like the movie showed, or mental condition, they took a cheap route and made him kill himself. So I thought that was just such a horrible message that it put this movie at number 10 for me. Bad Santa II. I know some people enjoyed this film. Not only was I not one of those people, I actually really didn't like it. So this one turned out to be a big disappointment, layered on top of the fact that it wasn't very good. It had no heart, it had no soul, it was just mean, it was gross, it was just vulgar for no reason. The plot was just stupid. I found Bad Santa II to just be pretty terrible in a year that had a ton of terrible comedies. It wasn't the worst comedy of the year, but it was a bit of a chore for me to sit through. So the biggest sin of Gods of Egypt? Whitewashing. The fact that they took that entire cast and made them attractive white men still gets under my skin. But at least, hey, they had the sense to apologize about it when everybody got mad, right? But that maybe could at least be somewhat forgiven, half forgiven, if the movie was good, and it wasn't. The only reason Gods of Egypt doesn't make its way further up this list is because it was just so boring. Like, there was nothing really happening of interest, and the CGI itself was fine, I guess, but it was just like this big ol' CGI screwfest on the screen, violating my eyes for 2 hours. It was so boring that I kind of even forgot it came out in 2016. We're all better off if we can just forget this one even existed. Zac Efron, you continue to disappoint time and time again. And Dirty Grandpa may just be the worst case. This film looked hilarious from the trailers. It had this like mean curmudgeon of a grandpa and a very naked Zac Efron. Sounds like a perfect recipe for an awesome good time at the movies. Instead, we got an unfunny, mean-spirited slodge. Oh my gosh. This movie was just, it was terrible because I chuckled maybe a couple of times. There was one really funny bit at the end. But the spirit behind the movie was just so rude and mean that I felt uncomfortable. Robert De Niro just kind of like dipping to new lows. Zac Efron continuing to be pretty good in a pretty horrible movie. The entire concept of the film is a mess. Dirty Grandpa was just a mess. year that was great for horror films, we still had several clunkers. The first of which that made this list is The Darkness. So the biggest crime here, it just isn't scary in the slightest. The premise, we've seen, we've been there, we've done that. The cool handprint design was fun for the posters, but then we get into the film and it's nothing but cliche after cliche after cliche. And talk about actors that are reaching down to new lows. Kevin Bacon, what has your career become? But similar to Gods of Egypt, this film is just like a nothing movie. It doesn't scare you. It doesn't enrage you. It just kind of puts you to sleep. It's so bad. But you forget that you even watched it. So it can't really be one of the 5 worst movies of the year. But it was still pretty darn bad. So rest in peace, Gary Marshall. You created many a great film in your heyday. However, Mother's Day, not one of them. So Gary was able to put together another all-star, awesome cast, but arguably one that's actually a step down from the New Year's Eve and Valentine's Day cast that he had assembled. But here we go with another movie that insists on forcing all of its storylines to come together in the most convoluted, unrealistic, stupid ways possible. Add on to that literally none of these characters are interesting. Some of them are downright disgusting and horrible people, but we're supposed to be made to feel a connection to them, to feel something for them. It was just such an eye roll that it was hard to even get through. Like, I literally was just constantly rolling my eyes at what I was watching. I couldn't believe it. And the fact that we had like a million storylines, but not even one of them was really remotely interesting. This movie had been stuck in like limbo land for years. And honestly, I wish it just would have stayed there and never subjected my eyes to this disaster. So this is a case of taking a actual true story, some true events, and turning them into the biggest, most ridiculous cartoon Three Stooges mess you could think of. Jason Sudeikis, you strike again here in the top 5. I thought you were extremely creepy and not funny at all. Zach Galifianakis, at this point, I actually am kind of wondering how you're continuing to get jobs as you churn out like clunker after clunker. And Kristen Wiig, we're going to need to talk to your manager because making choices like this and another film that's still yet to come is unacceptable. You are too funny for this, Kristen Wiig. But wow. Again, just an unfunny, over-the-top, ridiculous mess of a movie. I can't really blame the plot of the movie because, A, it was based on true events, but they just took that source material, drug it through the clown closet, and made a ridiculous movie. Why did they feel the need to put this out in theaters? So my pick for the official worst horror movie of 2016 is Shut In. And that's a shame because I actually thought Shut In looked pretty cool from the trailers. And it has Naomi Watts in it. So of course I was like, oh, okay, this could be something. No, it was nothing. It was actually worse than nothing. Because unlike The Darkness, this film elicits like angry reaction. First of all, it relies 100% fully on jump scares to get any sort of reaction out of you. There's nothing in here that's remotely creepy. There's nothing in here that's really scary. I think maybe the premise is kind of sort of scary. But there is a twist in this movie that is just so stupid, so creepy and disgusting and terrible that I just left like, ugh. This was M. Night Shyamalan levels of annoyed and disgusted by a twist. Like, I just couldn't believe that they went there and they did that and they turned it into this ridiculous, campy, over-the-top mess. After trying so hard to, like, ground it in this kind of cool, woodsy environment. Plus, the script was a mess. I mean, come on. And the direction? So no scares, with bad acting, even from Miss Naomi Watts herself, and a horrible twist is what gets you all the way up to number 3. Let's start this one off with the fact that I love Zoolander. Is it stupid? Yeah. Is it hilarious? Yes. So I was actually pretty excited with that second trailer from Zoolander 2. I thought, yes, here we go. No, here we don't go. We waited how long for this hot mess? Are you kidding me? There are no laughs to be had in Zoolander 2. It's a complete, retread of everything we liked in the first one, except the soul has just been sucked out. This is like the definition of a cynical, completely unoriginal, heartless mess from Hollywood. Just a complete cash grab from everyone involved. Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson, obviously your careers have slowed down quite a bit, so let's go ahead and fish up those beloved characters, huh? Kristen Wiig, here you are again, making horrible career choices. But the biggest crime is not only is it not funny, but the movie just has this level of disdain for all of the characters involved. Nobody wants to watch a movie that hates its own characters, that has a disdain toward the people that it's created itself. It's not a pleasant experience to watch. And then with all of these stupid celebrity cameos just shoved in, forced, where they're not wanted, where they're not needed, where they don't fit. And it just reeked of desperation because they were shoving in these celebrity cameos because they knew there aren't very many laughs to be had here. So Zoolander 2 was another example of a horrible sequel that we waited way too long for, that just bastardized the beloved original in the process. This is what is wrong with Hollywood. Zoolander 2. It's you. So before I unveil my worst movie of 2016, let's go ahead and talk about some dishonorable mentions. Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates, another unfunny Zac Efron movie that promised so much more in the trailers. The all-star cast that just kind of tricked everyone to walking into another subpar comedy. But at least there were laughs in this one, Dirty Grandpa. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Out of the Shadows, another CGI meh fest for the Turtles. They continue to just kind of be disrespected by Michael Bay and company. But at least this one characterized the Turtles we love, so that's what saved it. Another bad horror film for 2016, The Forest. Predictable, cliched, stupid characters. Really nothing to like other than the cool, creepy premise to start off with. Jack Reacher, Never Go Back. Right off the bat, that title makes absolutely no sense and has no bearing to the film itself, but just layered with action cliches, complete dad misogynistic man jokes. Please. The first one was good, this one a mess. And the film that barely missed making it onto the top 10 list, Alice Through the Looking Glass. Oh, what a shock. Another sequel that was terrible. Didn't love the first Alice in Wonderland. Really didn't like this one. It just took all of the soul, all of the wonder, ripped it from the story, and gave us a hollow, brightly covered mess that boiled down to such a ridiculous catalyst to start all of this off. So which movie then ranks higher than all of these films as the worst film to be released to theaters in 2016? I am legitimately baffled at how this film had a theatrical release this year. Much like horror, animation had a great year. There were so many solid entries. And then there was Norm of the North. At this point, it's even hard to roast this film or tell you what's bad about it. I mean, all you have to do is look at those trailers. Look how ugly it is. Like, seriously, this film is actually painful on your eyes to watch, with the character design, the horrible, late 90s level CGI, and even that is a diss to late 90s CGI. This is computer game late 90s CGI level. It was horrible. The way the characters move was just a disaster. And I mean, come on. Any movie that has Rob Schneider in the lead regardless is bound to make it on the 10 worst movies of the year. And this one was no exception. He may not have been on screen, but his presence was definitely felt. Honestly, the environmental message is the only redeeming factor about this film. The story is stupid and ridiculous. The twerking is stupid and ridiculous. Those little lemmings are stupid and ridiculous. It's just infuriating to me that something like this got released into theaters. Who thought that this was even semi-appropriate to put on a big screen? So, those are my picks for the absolute bottom of the barrel, the worst slop that 2016 had to offer. What did you think of my list? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Did you happen to like any of the films that I put here on the list? Let me know either in the comment section down below or hit me up on Twitter. I do love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and let's hope 2017 doesn't have quite as much garbage to produce. Oh, we may have to expand this list to 20 next year. Alright, well, I guess I'll see you next time. Bye.